How can you become the best version of yourself if you're stuck playing a minor role in someone else's story you didn't even audition for? You deserve to be the main character of your life. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can step into the spotlight, starting with small, simple changes that anyone can start doing today. When I was in high school, I found out that other kids in school were calling me shadow, referring to the fact that I was basically a shadow of the people I used to hang out with. At the time, it was hurtful, but looking back, they were right. I was a shadow. I allowed myself to fade into the background, overshadowed by the people that I chose as friends. The point is, I wasn't living my life. I was just observing theirs. Until everything changed. Because after years of challenges, heartbreaks, and self-discovery, I can finally say I am the main character. I am fully in control and actively shaping my dream life. I have documented every step I took and every lesson I learned from my experiences, as well as my knowledge as a therapist, and put everything together in this video so that you can also be the main character that you deserve to be in your own life. So grab pen and paper so that you can note all of this down, and whilst you do that, hi, my name is Bri, I am a pre-qualified psychologist working in London and on an exciting path to become a clinical psychologist, and on this channel I like to share psychology insights and lessons I learned in my life and career to help you live a healthier, happier and more productive life. So if that sounds like something that might interest you, then you should subscribe and stick around. The first thing you need to do to become the main character is to embrace loneliness and stop chasing the validation of other people. The main reason I was constantly the side character is that I was so desperate to have friends that I would accept to be with literally anyone. In addition, I really wanted to be accepted by them, so I would act small, hide my true self, and just show what I thought was socially acceptable to show. And what that meant was I just wasn't acting authentically to my true self. After a few bad friendship choices, I had to accept that in order to find people that truly aligned with me, I had to be alone, at least for a while. I had to be comfortable being alone, work on myself, discover who I was, and act authentically. Also, after accepting being alone, I learned to be on my own, and what it means now is that I don't need friends in order to be happy. I don't seek friendships desperately anymore, which means I'm not accepting friendships from anyone just because I don't want to be alone. So now I only spend time with people that truly align with my energy and that I feel can be a part of my own plot. You don't need validation from other people to feel worthy. By doing what other people want or expect from you, you are just playing out their plot and you're not living in alignment with your true self, which means you can't be the main character. You will always just be in the background. At the end of the day, the best gift you can give yourself is the gift of independence. So if necessary, be alone. And only after you've done that, you will be able to find people that align with the true version of yourself and with whom you are allowed to shine as the main character. Also, spending some time alone will also allow you to do some self-discovery and understand what is the true version of yourself. I am a geek for TV series references, so I'm gonna do a bunch of them in this video. And for this point, I think it's very helpful to think about Rory Gilmore. When she started at Chilton, Rory didn't fit in. But she didn't chase the popular crowd or try to be someone that she wasn't. She stayed true to herself, even if it meant sitting alone at lunch or being labeled as the quiet girl. And she only allowed into her life people that truly aligned with her values and with the most authentic version of herself, which meant that whenever she needed support, she always had someone willing to help her out. She basically built her own community, and at some point, even the people that initially didn't want to be her friends then started actively chasing her to be part of that group and of that community. Take it from someone that has been through it. It's better to be alone than to be someone someone else's shadow. If you let other people make you feel small, you will never become the main character. But only changing your social circle won't be enough to help you become the main character. In order to do that, you need to make actual changes within your life. And one of that is live your life intentionally. If I think about the period of my life when I was a shadow, I honestly can't even remember it clearly. I can't remember vividly specific moments that happened. It's like it's a blur. And that is because I was literally living in autopilot mode. I was just letting life passing me by without being intentional about it. I wasn't reflecting or looking back at every experience that I was doing. So basically life was just happening at me, and I wasn't even a part of it. Main characters are deeply intentional about their action. And by doing that, they avoid repeating past mistakes, whilst making sure that their actions today are aligned with the best version of themselves. In addition, they live in the present moment without ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. They make sure to live every second of their life intentionally because they don't want their life to slip by. To add intentionality into your life, you can add things like meditation, visualization, or you can just try to be more mindful in your everyday life. So practicing mindful eating, mindful walking. I've made an entire video on simple ways in which you can add mindfulness into your life, which I'm going to leave somewhere here. But also another way in which you can be more intentional about your life is by journaling. Journaling allows you to reflect on your life every single day. And also you can look back on your entry, see what you've been up to, learn from your past mistakes, and also see how far you've come. You can incorporate practices like weekly reviews that allow you to look back on your week and set intention for the following week. In this way, you will know exactly what you need to avoid doing and how to work through your goals in the following week. As the main character, you don't just go with the flow, you create the flow. Think about Elena Gilbert in The Vampire Diaries. She journals every single day, she reflects on her experiences, and she documents every single day of her life so that life doesn't just pass her by. And if you think about that, Elena Gilbert is completely in love with her humanity. She deeply loves her human life. And that is because she lives intentionally every single day, making sure that she enjoys every second of her mortality. Now, all of this will work fine. However, you will not be able to step into main character energy unless you add magic into your life. Something I can say about my shadow period is that it was extremely boring, to the point that I would try to find escapes in books, TV series, social media, because my life was just dull. Completely dull. There was no magic within my days. Every day was repetitive and boring. And I didn't really have anything beautiful to look forward to. And the thing about main character is that they don't just wait for magical moments, they create them. And if you want to become the main character, you need to think about ways in which you can incorporate some magic into your life. Treat yourself, engage in little rituals. Find beauty in ordinary experiences. Add joy and excitement to your day. Basically, romanticize your life. You can do that by doing simple things such as creating a main character playlist, having a peaceful morning routine, decorating your house seasonally, watch the sunset, or even just pretending every day that you are in a movie and making sure that that movie is actually interesting to watch. But also try new experiences. If you think about it, when we were children, we would often feel this sense of magic all around us, and that was because we were doing new experiences every single day. So a school trip or Christmas morning, all of those were new things for us, so we saw them as magical. But the reality is, as we grow up, life starts to become repetitive, we start getting into routine and habits, and at the end of the day, we don't really have anything magical to look forward to. So we need to create it. This can be big experiences such as going for a trip or trying out a new hobby, but also it can be something small such as taking another route to go to work or walking instead of driving to the gym. These are just little ways in which you can make every day a little bit different and a little bit more magical. And these small acts can have a profound positive impact into your life. The Gilmore Girls romanticize their lives constantly. From coffee rituals at Luke's to spontaneous road trips to themed movie nights. They don't just live life, they curate it. They make everyday moments feel cinematic, and this is why we love to watch Gilmore Girls. And at the end of the day, that's what it means to live with magic. If you want to be the main character, you also necessarily have to embrace your quirks. One of the reasons I started to literally become invisible was because I was suppressing everything that I was. Around the time, I was a One Direction fan, but it was also the time where One Direction's fan were made fun of. What a horrible time, oh my god. So I felt a little bit ashamed and I hid it. I started having a very private relationship with my music, even though I have no problems in sharing what my favorite artists are. By suppressing who I was and what I liked, I started to shrink, becoming invisible. A shadow. Why would anyone pay any attention to me? I wasn't sharing anything interesting about myself. I was just mimicking what other people did or what I thought other people liked. The key to become the main character is not only to conquer your quirks, but to integrate them into your life to make an impact. Think about it. We live in a highly competitive world, and the only way that we have to shine is to embrace our quirkiness, our individuality. Being different is the only way to win. If you look like everyone else, all you've done is increase your pool of competition. If you are a human being, you have traits that make you quirky, weird, and maybe those traits have been labeled as weaknesses. And if you're like most people, you have tried to fix them. And that will be a terrible mistake. Those quirks are those that make you different, exceptional. And to make your quirks work for you, you need to start with self-awareness, knowing yourself, accepting yourself, and choosing how and when to express your quirks. And remember that your sweet spot, so the spot where you are the most remarkable, is the intersection of your strengths, your weaknesses, your differences, and your passions. And if your quirks are not appreciated by the people around you, then don't change yourself, change your environment. Think about Mona from Pretty Little Liars. She was a secondary character until she stepped into her quirkiness, which was not always positive, of course. But whenever she showed her genius in different way, that's when she became part of the main plot. That's when she became a part of the Liars group. You'll never be as good a version of other people as you are of yourself. Don't try, don't fall for it. Your quirks are most likely the secret to your power. And finally, to be honest, you can do all of this and still not step into main character energy if you don't do this last thing. That is, take responsibility for your life. The thing that most of all kept me from becoming the main character was my lack of responsibility for any kind of situations in my life. Let me explain. It is true that the people that I chose as friends at the time were not very nice. However, I allowed them to be in my life. I allowed them to treat me in a certain way. I allowed myself to make myself small to let them shine. That is my responsibility. But for the entire time, I could only think about how unlucky I was and why wouldn't people treat me right. My lack of responsibility is what kept me trapped in that situation. You need to start taking responsibility for your life. In psychology, we have the concept of internal versus external locus of control. And an internal locus of control basically means that you feel that you have the power to change your circumstances, whilst having an external locus of control means that you see that life is happening to you and that you have no control over whatever happens to you. And as a therapist, I worked with many people that were suffering from mental health difficulties, and I have to say that the people that went through recovery more successfully were the ones that had an internal locus of control. So this concept is very important, and I think everyone should master it. People with an internal locus of control are proven to be more successful in life. So the idea here is that you need to start taking responsibility for your own life. And that doesn't mean that bad things can't happen to you. Of course, circumstances will bring us all down at some point in our life, and that is okay. However, it is still your responsibility to put on the work, heal, and become the best version of yourself. I have explained this a little bit more superficially here. That's because I made a whole video about victim mentality and how to develop an internal locus of control, and in there I dive in deeper into this concept of responsibility. I'm going to leave the video here if you want to check that out. A main character that successfully steps from an external to an internal locus of control is Lucifer, from the TV series Lucifer, of course. If you're not familiar with it, because this is a bit more of a niche one, Lucifer is basically the devil that decides to leave hell and start living in Los Angeles. And that TV series is so full of metaphors. Obviously, Lucifer's father is God, and at the start of the series, Lucifer blames his father for everything that happens into his life. He feels that he is just a pawn into his father's plan and that he has no power to change things into his life. Even the concept itself of hell is very interesting, because in this TV series, you make your own hell. Your hell is basically the worst day of your life on repeat. And if someone goes to hell, the only person that can get them out is themselves, because they are trapped inside hell by their own guilt. So actually, the concept of responsibility comes up a lot in the TV series. I think responsibility is something extremely important in everyone's life, and it is basically the key for success. As the series progresses, Lucifer begins to take ownership of his decisions, his emotions, and his relationships. He stops playing the victim and steps fully into his own power. And that's internal locus of control, choosing accountability for your actions instead of blame. And this brings us to the end of the video. Let me know in the comment how you're gonna step into your main character energy. If you like this video, you might also like this video here where I talk about how to build an alter ego, or you can watch this video here that YouTube has picked up just for you based on your personal interest. So I will see you over there, or I will see you in the next video. Bye!